Hello everyone and welcome back to another Kokka video. Today we're going to be going over the top 5 worst shields, in my opinion, in Kokka. And I also forgot to mention in the last video, top 9 best shields. These shields are known to roam, so there might be some other shields that we don't know of, but since I'm a Roman citizen in Kokka, yeah, this is kind of known to roam, so just to let you know. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. First, we have the number 5. So we have the what's it called? The Clan of the Horses War Shield. All I've got to say is one word: an absolute waste of a piece of wood. Absolutely garbage. Okay, so first of all, this thing is extremely small. Like, extremely. Like, this is my hand. My hand can fit across this thing. For crying out loud. It's only like 1.5 feet tall, I believe. Something, we're pretty darn close to that. And it's just got this grip on the back. Just like that. It's kind of wobbly, and it's not very comfy to hold, nor is it very secured, and it's small as heck. Let's just say this shield is an absolute mess. The reason I put shields like this in the top 10 best and stuff like this in the top 5 worst, top 9 anyway, is because this actually has a purpose, unlike this. This isn't a complete waste of a piece of wood. As I explained earlier, this is supposed to strap onto your wrist, pretty much, your whole forearm, and it's supposed to deflect sword slashes. Now this thing's secured to your forearm, so it's almost an extension of your arm, or not an extension, but a piece of your arm. This, you could argue that this could be used in a similar manner, but I mean, unlike this where it's not strapped to your arm, this is just hanging out in front of you like this. And this doesn't give you a lot of protection. It's wobbly, unsecured, and very uncomfortable to wield. An absolute piece of garbage, in my opinion. All I've got to say about this one is that they better be grateful that the Clan of the Horses War Shield exists, because if it didn't, this would have gone straight to number 5. But this is number 4. It's a little better, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's, first of all, bigger. It's like 1/2 foot wide, and it's about almost 2 feet long. Or wait, what? Yeah, tall, whatever. You get what it, lengthwise. It looks better in terms of like looks. It used to have a strap, like a forearm strap, so it actually strap onto you like a regular shield, so it was both more secure and a bit bigger, so offered a little more protection. Now, here's why it's in the top 5 worst. It's because this shield pretty much just did exactly what they were trying not to do to recreate this. Or no, they were trying not to, but also did. This is what I'm saying. That probably made no sense. Let me explain. This is the first version of a legionary's scutum, like pretty much during the Egyptian war. Okay, now notice how it's rectangular shape. It's a bit thinner than the ones used today. And then just look at these, okay? And also look at the thickness. Now the thickness is why we're talking about this, okay? So look at that. It's so much lighter. It's so much more secured, and it feels so much better. This one, on the other hand, is so thick and it's so heavy. It's not even comfy to wear, and it's no longer effective for modern warfare. Now this was a naval shield. This was an old Roman naval shield. I forgot to mention that. Not the first design, but I believe it's the 2nd generation prototype of a Roman naval shield. Anyway, point being, look at this thickness. So, and by the way, this was a time when Rome realized that thick shields weren't exactly the best option, and yet they went with thick for no reason. I don't know why. I legit. Well, it's also a piece of garbage, is what I'm saying. Yeah, it's too small to barely do. It's better than the last one, but it's not good at all. Alright, in third place, and also the center of the entire list, we have the Roman pike shield, if you will. Okay, so pike shield, obviously, it's in its name. It was a pike shield. So during the early TFOA war, when TFOA was beating the living crap out of Rome because of their pikes and crap, Rome decided, hey, we need more range, so therefore let's just copy them, put pikes on our men, and then they realized, oh wait, we also have shields. The TFOA does not. So why don't we get pikes and put shields on our own, so we have the same thing as them, but also better. So they made this. So it's broken, obviously. Like it's broken, but it used to look something like this, just rectangular. It's not the worst, but it's actually kind of garbage. I don't know. So like hold on. I forget what I call the shield, but like this one, this also, and this was actually the inspiration for this, actually. But it was supposed to be, restrain your wrist, so your left hand was free to grab the pike, and then your shield would be on your forearm still. And so you might be wondering, why is it garbage? Just because it just never caught on. There are just better options. I don't know, there were just better options. It was kind of a waste. So when Rome realized that they could just stick to legionaries, just give them a longer ranged weapon, Pila. Anyway, they kind of abandoned it, or they didn't completely abandon it. They kind of gave up on pike infantry, and then they gave this shield to their cavalry. Now, let's just say this shield has all the bads. Sorry, no. Let's just say this one has all the bads and none of the goods of this one, right? So, and this one has all of the goods, none of the bads of that one. Okay, so let me explain. So it's small, it's affordable, cheap, thin, and it's concealed pretty much a little bit. So it's almost just as wide as that one, the Spartan skirmisher shield, and this is why Rome replaced these with they replaced these with this, the Spartan skirmisher shield, with the Roman pike shield, because of the little moon curve in there. The spear could go through it. Plus, this one, the Spartan skirmisher shield, is just as wide, plus longer, and the little curve there, and it was just all around a better design. That, and they kind of gave up on this. It's just kind of a waste again. Kind of. I don't know. It did have some use. Okay, that's why I said number 3 and not number 2 or 4 and 5. But yeah. In second place, we have the early Roman shield. This is not a scutum, it is a Roman shield. Obviously it looks a lot like a scutum, but technically it's not. It does not have the rectangular shape. It is a square. Anyway, so this is why it's in the top 5 worst, okay? Like I said in the last time, this is just thick, heavy, and it was just not good. I mean, here, hold on. If you've seen top 9, then you've seen that this, the Order of the Trees hoplite shield is on there and not this. How come? I mean, I've even said that this one by design is probably better than this, because it's like this is a little bit lighter but not much. It's just as thick, pretty much. Actually, I think this one might be a little thinner, probably not though. Anyway, it's symmetrical, so it can lock. So the soldiers can lock shields better, and that was the whole point of it. But the reason this was on top 9 best and this was on top 5 worst is because purely of when it was created and how it was used. I put this on the top 9 best because of when it was created and how it was created. It was created during the Roman Civil War when people used the little tiny Clan of the Horses shields that I showed you, which was number 5 for the top 5 worst. Anyway, so yeah, and then this thing was a massive, like, infantry with this were just tanks. Nothing could kill him pretty much with this. Now, when the Roman Civil War ended, and then these were replaced with these, and these were still reserved for officers, but the main infantry used these instead. Here's the problem. The Egyptian War started, and then obviously the early Roman army used stuff like this, and officers used that, okay? Now, the Egyptians used hit-and-run tactics, so obviously the infantry carrying these and these would not be able to chase them down, therefore they lost, until Rome developed the first legionary with the early Roman scutum, okay? So, this was never used during the Roman Civil War, therefore it was never effective, ever, and this was, because it was, when it was used, how it was used, same with this, but it was not used effectively, nor was it created at a good time. So, that's why it's in top 5 worst. However, I will rank it in 2nd place, so it's not on the bottom of the list, because it's better than the others. Okay, number 1, last but not least, okay? We have the rhombus. The rhombus shield. So, this was actually not designed by Romans, but it was actually designed... Well, okay, screw it. Yeah, it kind of was. It was more of a Roman revolt at the Athenian conflict, when this was developed by the Athenian rebels, who designed this to fight off Rome. Anyway, so obviously when Athens was defeated by Rome, Rome actually took this in and gave it to their gladiators because they thought it looked pretty damn cool. And even some soldiers used this in relatively modern battles. So this is why it's in number 1, for a few reasons. It was used in relatively modern battles, and it protected its wearer considerably. I mean, this is actually the largest. The rhombus shield is how we say it. We call it rhombus, not rhombus, but yeah, whatever. Yeah, anyway, it was, like I said, it was used, it protected its wearer quite a bit. Okay, I see where I am. I'm so sorry, I'm stuttering. It protected its wearer considerably. It was, in fact, it is still the largest known constructed shield in Kokka. Known constructed shield in Kokka. You will not find, at least that we know of, you will not find a larger shield in Kokka that was used and is still made, or that was made and used, in actual combat. So, first of all, it's number 1 because of, oh, look at that. Since it was made in a relatively modern time, they realized, oh, thin is actually better than thick because it's light. This thing's actually pretty light. I mean, this thing's an absolute beast, but it's light. I mean, I'd even say it's lighter than a scutum, actually, even though this thing's almost, like, it is bigger. It's almost like a 4th bigger, if that makes any sense. Anyway. They also had, pretty standard arm grips, nothing too wild, but also nothing too, it was a good shield, okay? It was a relatively good shield. In fact, I even considered putting it on the top 9 best, and actually that was almost about to be top 10, and this would have been at least on there, But instead, I decided to put it in top 5 worst, and I'll tell you why. It's because its size is both its strength and its weakness. Like I said before, this shield protected its wearer considerably. However, this shield was so massive, it obstructed almost everything the wearer was trying to do in terms of fighting. Like, this thing's so big, you could hardly get a weapon around it. Not only that, but also when you were putting this thing in front of you to block something, you couldn't see over it or around it very well. Not really. I mean, obviously, the Athenians realized this, and they kind of cut off the tips here, but it still wasn't... It was still massive. It just wasn't working very well. And not only that, but these things are expensive to make. One of the most expensive shields to make out there. In Kokka, anyway. So, it's just the flawed design. Oh, not only that, it is not a good idea to lock shields with this thing because of the massive gaps it creates with the cutoff corners. The cutoff corners were both the cutoff corners were both supposed to help the user use it more effectively, but also when it came to roam, they couldn't really use this in their little, shield wall stance because of the massive gaps on all four corners. Just leave these massive gaps within the line, so they couldn't really use these in terms of that. So that's why it is ranked number 1 at top 5, or not number 1 in terms of it's the best out of the 5. I forget to mention that. Anyway, so yeah, this is it, number 1 out of all 5 shields. Top 5, Kokka's top 5 worst known shields to roam. Okay, anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.